We are recording. We are streaming and we are up. All right. So we return to the world of A Crown of Cold Iron and the city of Queensboro, where our intrepid gumshoes are tracking down the culprit of a mysterious series of arsons that have been occurring on religious institutions. Specifically, 2 spiritualist sites have been attacked and 1 Pather temple. You investigated the sites, found signs of strange and mysterious magic, unusual light, very few sort of specific details. But at the 3rd site, you were actually attacked as you were having a discussion with Abbess Vance, who runs the Vance River location, and you were attacked by giant fiery beings summoned by a mysterious figure. In the ensuing melee, you saw that the fiery creatures were specifically targeting Abbess Vance. You also saw that when the mysterious hooded assailant attempted to flee after receiving both a javelin and a hatchet in their back, courtesy of Lexi, one of the fiery beings actually turned on them and reduced them to ash. An overwhelming display of water magic on the part of Abbess Vance has washed away the remaining combatants. And so we find you all immediately post-battle, and we will resume right where we were.
I am immediately going, is the ash body still there?
It is. You want to go check it out?
I'm going to go check it out and also attempt to cast Fireball on it.
I mean, don't we want to like save the teeth for dental records or something? That's my first thought.
So we'll cover the Fireball first. So as you walk over, you pull out this brand new, beautiful wooden arcane focus that you'd received as a gift from Bela Blackthorn, and attempting to delve into magical resources that you don't think you possess, but you're trying anyway. When you pull it out, you notice it is blackened. The beautiful surface of this now has a distinctive, like, ashen char across the surface. It is noticeably warm to the touch.
Did that dick break my wand?
So in your frustration, you try and run magic through this and incinerate this person, not really expecting much to happen. And you bring it down in sort of a swing, and there is and the ashen surface burns away into smoke, and all the runes light up along the length. And there's now a like 2 or 3 foot long blade of flame coming off of this wand.
Huh. So is that why you're wearing the Star Wars shirt?
No, I had actually had this picked out beforehand. It is laundry night, and this is my last t-shirt. I do really like this t-shirt, but I've worn through all my others. So that happens. Make an investigation check. Investigation or medicine, whichever you're stronger in.
Well, that'll be investigation, a +1 versus a +0. So I get a 12 in investigation.
It is pretty burnt. Also working against you, you're not entirely sure what human physiology is supposed to look like to begin with. Yeah. And so you're sort of assembling a jigsaw puzzle with no box.
I'm assuming this is the right number of teeth.
Would anyone else like to assist or make their own investigations?
Sure.
Sure, poor dude.
Hey, I got a dirty 20.
I got a nat
Nice.
20.
All right.
So that's the right number of teeth, right?
Investigation.
17.
So, Oric, you have a moment of confusion where you walk up with a confidence of like, I can figure this out. You know, like it can't be that different. And you start looking and you're like, I don't know what all this stuff is. Like, you're realizing that you are put together in a distinctly different way than everyone else here. Those of you who know what human bodies are supposed to look like, Lexi and Zyra, you notice some irregular features.
He's got a couple crowns in his teeth, you know.
So Lexi is poking at the teeth. The teeth don't look right. Like, even though they're blackened and cracked somewhat, some of there's almost like more canines than there should be.
Okay.
There's a weirdly large number of like sharp protruding teeth.
Okay.
Zyra, you're sort of poking at it, and you're coming up with extra bones.
Fun.
Yeah, like you've probably dabbled in a little bit of archaeological work in relation to all your other stuff. Like, you kind of have an idea of what a body laid out like this should look like. And it's not like fragments of bones. There are like there's not a ton of them, but there's just enough, and they're coming out, they're like splayed off of the lower back in a weird way. And you're not sure what to make of that, but it is definitely non-traditional physiology.
Like
With an oh, go ahead.
tailbones?
What'd you say?
Like tailbones?
There's something strange happening down there that is not a factory issue.
Okay.
And Cyrus with the natural 20 gets the prize. It's mostly burnt. It looks like he sort of took that fire blast to the face. So there's like more preserved further down. But like right across here, there's an odd deformity to the skull. Almost like there was something protruding across here that has been like partially burned away. But if you didn't know better, you would think there was some kind of thick ridge or maybe horns across the front here.
Do humans not have horns?
No, honey, that's not normal.
Oh, okay.
No, honey.
So as you all are investigating that, the abbess is sort of just like gently putting out like spot extinguishing little fires.
I
She's
will
kind
put
of
out
moving
my
in the
stuff
background.
before she does that to me. Okay.
Is there anything
That's a
else
thing.
you all want to investigate specifically?
I mean, other than asking Vance if she's got any clue about what we just saw.
Yeah.
She finishes her little like, it's funny how she does it. She just like hooks a finger and like a little tendril of water snakes out from the river and
We're playing whack-a-mole.
pretty much. And finally, she just seems to get a little, she's like, okay, fine. And just brings both hands. And it looks almost like someone casting magic missile, but made of water. And just like 40 darts of water come up out all at once from the river. And yeah, just snake around and there's a moment of like steam and smoke. And then for the most part, all the fires seem to be out. One of them kind of wavered threateningly towards Auric, but you extinguished and it went away. She walks over. This is the first time you've seen her look a little winded. She is breathing a little heavy. But you do notice there are no like burn marks or anything you would sort of expect. But she is kind of, well, that was a lot, wasn't it? That was not a usual evening here at the river.
You know, sure, but it's becoming a bit of a normal thing for us. So, glad we were able to. It's good to be on your side.
It's good to have the river on your side.
That
I'm afraid I don't bring too much personally to the equation, but the river provides sometimes more literally than others. She looks
thank
down and
the
sort
river.
of, go ahead.
No, we thank the river.
When you say that, there's you can actually feel almost like if I said an inaudible hum in the magic of this place. When you say that, like almost like a large beast sighing contentedly. So she is going to make a check. What is her best check? Where's my roller? There we go.
Just bring the whole thing down. Be a good boy.
Ironically, with all the other things that she's very good at, the abbess is actually not proficient in religion. She is able to look and kind of notices some of the same things that you all did, and she says, "This is unusual." And she's kind of looking more closely at it. Do you have any specific questions you want to ask her?
I just stand up. Had she ever seen anything like the fire creatures before?
I'm afraid not. Obviously, we don't have those running around terribly often. Otherwise, that would be somewhat newsworthy. The fact that they're unfamiliar, I don't know what to make of it. I've certainly not seen anything like them in spiritualist circles. As she's saying this, Lexi, make a religion check with advantage.
Well, good thing I've got advantage.
Yeah.
An 8.
They did seem kind of familiar to you, but you can't quite place it. Zyra, go ahead and make a regular religion roll.
Oh,
Oh, it doesn't matter.
6.
A what?
6.
Man, we just all brain farted on religion right here.
No, we don't know anything.
Struggles. All right.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, seriously.
Um,
Roll a 20 for
What is
that.
going on here?
Did the Did this guy look basically the same as the other two from before?
I don't believe that it was the same individual, but I do think it is the same sort of magic.
Same style of hood from the woman.
It, if anything, they perhaps seemed more powerful, but less inclined to use that power. And it did appear that I don't believe that this poor, unfortunate soul here was capable of, and she just sort of gestures to the giant scorched area where those fiery creatures were. This seemed beyond his grasp. Controlling such creatures like that, summoning them, bringing them here, usually is accompanied by more magical acumen than was displayed.
Pretty
I mean, you hit me pretty hard.
Could he himself have been a pawn?
That seems very likely. What exactly that, a pawn of what, and in what way, I don't know. But it did seem that whatever he did to summon those seemed like something that was maybe prepared for him in advance. We don't have much cause to imbue items with divine magic, but I've at least heard stories of similar vessels of magical power, divine, arcane, or otherwise, that can explosively channel more powerful magic than a user is normally capable of wielding themselves, but only perhaps once or twice before the magic is exhausted.
And apparently not reliably if they'll turn on you the instant they see weakness.
That underlines my suspicion that whatever source those creatures came from was either they were beyond the control of the one who actually summoned them here. Whatever their source is didn't regard him as an ally worth preserving when it appeared that he might be captured.
Sounds like that Blake scenario. People using magic over that's too powerful for them, getting in over their heads.
Mhm.
Any other questions or other things you all want to investigate here?
Lexi does not have anything else that she can think of, so. But that's because her brain is still reeling from her religion check.
it really does, like, it hits you like you, it is poking something in your brain. Like, it's one of those like tip of the tongue, I should know this.
I couldn't think of the word rubric for a week.
Yeah.
I'll remember it at like 3 a.m, and like y'all get a phone call from me going, I got it.
Yeah. I'm just off the, like, I'm gonna pull out the scrap of paper that I've got the brand we've got written on and just ask her, so we're looking, I'm not we don't have a really strong reason to believe that this is connected to this. But just, have you seen this before? And if you happen to run across it anytime in the future, you can let us know. We've been wondering about some other curiosities, and this is also a curiosity, and I'm aware it's a curious place, but sometimes curiosities with destruction might be connected.
I haven't seen anything like this before, but if I do, I'll be sure to let you know. And actually, and she looks, and one of you who has I think all of you should have a water skin or a reskinned water skin for something modern.
Mhm.
She's going to point to whoever has one visible and gesture for you to hand it to her.
Yeah, sure.
That's sort of like travel coffee mug.
She takes it and sort of reverently pours the remaining water out, and then you see her do that swish and flick motion again, and a dart of water hits and instantly fills up the container. And she says, there's more than just physical damage that will need repairing here. But if you have this with you, I might be able to offer assistance in a particularly dire moment.
Is there anything else you need help with here? Is there anything else we can help you with here?
No, I think the congregation will be able to handle this from here. She kind of surveys the some of the burnt and shattered pews and like the scorched ground, and is like, I am foreseeing a congregational work day in the near future, but we will, as with anything, we will endure.
Indeed.
Yay, congregational work days. We all know what those are like.
I didn't realize how on the nose all of this was going to evolve. Like, I wrote down the bare bones of this very early, like maybe even before we like for sure we're going to be playing it with this group, and it just really has snowballed in a weird way. So
They're close to home.
with your now filled bottle of river water, she holds up a hand, and it's not something so crude as like a spell effect, but there's just a sense of calm and serenity. It's actually very much that feeling of like standing on the riverside, the lakeside, and watching the sun set, and there's a sense of like distilled serenity, but with a distinctly aquatic vibe to it that rolls over you. And she says, go in peace, and turns back and starts making some phone calls, because it is a modern setting.
So I definitely picked up on Zyra thanking the river, and so as we leave, I awkwardly say goodbye to the river.
Do you actually like do this? Like,
Yes.
The awkward wave.
Very awkward, like,
for just a
Bye.
second, you imagine that you see like one of the water globules come up and go,
It hummed at me.
You got a Moana wave.
Mhm.
all
Right.
right.
One of those.
So what's next on the priority list? It is now evening. Would you all want to get a long rest in and resume in the morning?
I
Well-
think so. Rest and then Radiant Dawn, did we say?
And then head out to the Radiant Dawn.
Yeah, I guess we can't really Probably can't really bust in on them.
Can we get there at dawn?
I mean, if y'all want to come over here early, I'll let you in. Bar won't be open, but you know.
I mean, and Lexi would know this. I mean, it is possible that there would be some kind of like worship service or special rites or something happening in the morning.
Yeah.
But
Morning prayer or something.
yeah, whether it would actually help you to like get a hold of somebody is kind of hit or miss. All right. Everyone disperses to your respective resting places.
I think Cyrus might run like a quick to see if anything True Light has been flagged on a NBI or local police level once he gets back to his gear.
All right. Make a technology check.
Messed up my modifier. Oh wait, how does your inspiration work?
It's a D6.
Yeah. How does it work on ability checks?
You do fun things with it. Magical inspiration. No, hold on. Ability
You need to
checks.
roll twice.
Yeah.
I rolled the exact same number. I got 17.
It's okay. It was the universe telling you that bardic inspiration only lasts 10 minutes.
Ah, there.
True Light is just so many red flags. Like there's very few like specific moments where like a major incident has happened, but a lot of people are very nervous about them. You find like all kinds of dossiers and like threat reports, and you find lots of like smaller charges, like what Lieutenant Davis pointed out to Lexi of, you know, people having like weapons and sort of tactical gear that they're not supposed to, and carrying them in places they're not supposed to have them. A lot of little things like that. Again, nothing like, oh, they blew up such and such, but there are a lot of eyes on them for what seems like good reason. You also spot they seem to have a very active presence online. You see a lot of like message boards and web chatter, and you see sort of the whole gamut from like public social media all the way down through the levels of like sketchiness and anonymity.
Man.
Yeah, they're on the Queensboro equivalent. They are making people very nervous.
Besides Nault Manfur, any other standout names to be aware of?
Staff of, so they're listed as a nonprofit Solinist institution. For the actual nonprofit at their storefront in Falmouth, the employees are listed as Nault as the essentially like the CEO isn't the correct term, but he's heading the organization. And then you see what looks like a board that he serves with. And the names of the board members are Beatrice Alowin, Tesbin Manfer, Genevieve Manfer, and Salem Haythorne. And I will send those because they're all horrible, ridiculous names.
Haven't we seen a Haythorn?
Let's see.
Or is that the string of romance novels I've been reading?
It could be. You might also be getting them mixed up with Cawthorn, Allen, Tarr, Smith, who are who's the legal and development company that's been heckling Luz. Phonetically similar, but that's just DM bias, not a secret clue. And all of you, Cyrus, do you share this list with everybody?
Yeah.
Everybody make a history check. If you'd like, you can make a technology check to try and get advantage on your history check.
Okay. I got a 20 on the tech check for advantage.
All right.
6 on the tech check.
So I had a 16 on the tech check. What's how you get advantage?
That's all you need. Now you have advantage on the history roll. Because this is like a mundane topic that has a web presence. And so your handy dandy smartphone is providing a lot of assistance.
Sure. Well,
I got a 15 on the history check, so
With advantage, I got an 8.
I got 17.
15.
And Lexi, what was your tech roll?
it was a 6.
I'm actually going to have you roll your history with disadvantage.
Okay.
You have stumbled into the wrong corners of
but
the
I rolled a
internet.
nat 20 on my second roll, so 15 it is.
All right. So what helps you is you've heard of this guy before. This would be like you probably have maybe family members, like ones you maybe don't talk to a lot, who really like this guy. So you kind of have a vibe of like who this is. So a book comes up that's also the title of several like lectures and sermon series, and it's called The Last Great Human Cause. And it is the up and coming darling of this sort of conservative Solinist movement. And what you're gathering is he dances around it, but essentially Nault's argument is that the Fae are fundamentally different than humans, and that should be a determining factor in how they're interacted with. And he, again, it's very careful, but he draws out images from some of this newly verified historical information, looking at, laying out things that the Fae did during the conflicts, during that sort of ancient legendary period pre-sundering. And it is not necessarily an intellectually honest and thorough argument, but you can see how for certain groups of people it would appear persuasive. All right. So a couple of things. Everyone make a perception check.
Right round. 16.
Oh,
12.
20.
26.
All right. Lexi, you go back and you stop by Lou's, and you don't go do it yourself. Caleb is taking the trash out, and you hear that sort of normal. You know what it sounds like. Like you hear the dumpster like crashing open. You hear him throwing it, and when the giant thing of trash lands inside, you hear a wow.
Oh man.
Oric, you are in your apartment and you look out the window, and there's another apartment complex on the opposite street. And in the window directly across from yours, there is a little gray and black cat, kind of like laying like sort of boneless, but its head is tilted like. And you look a couple of times and it seems to be, it's almost like it's staring in your window, and it's a little creepy.
Just trying to see if we had a photo of Maisie's.
I pulled the blinds closed.
Zyra, we need to establish more of where you live, because I don't actually know as much about where you live.
There we go.
But you have a similar encounter on your way home. You're getting pretty close because she has a flat or apartment, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be like a studio flat. Just it's a sublet on the edge of Ravenbrook.
Yeah. You just happen to notice that there's a couple of cats, like looks like feral cats, kind of scavenging in some of the dumpsters next to your building as you come in. And Cyrus will notice something similar. Since both of them are gone, Zyra, you also oh, a message just went through.
It's me.
I was like, what is that?
It's me being funny.
All the folks on the video are so confused because we have 3 different chats going in addition to like the actual audio.
I don't have Zoom open on my phone, so I can't send. Yeah, I can't send. It's just Maisie.
I don't know what's got her so spooked.
No, she's been uppity, just scared of everything these past 24 hours. So.
Zyra, you have a letter. Except
It just says meow 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 meow.
you have a letter that, but it's not like in your mail slot. It's like pushed under your door.
Yeah.
And I say a letter, it's not so much a letter as like a piece of paper stuffed into a blank envelope. And it just says, you have to stop, period. Be quiet, period. Be safe, period. It's handwritten on like a blank piece of printer paper in some kind of ink.
Does it look like a ballpoint pen or a fountain pen?
Make an investigation check.
Oh, can I reroll that one? I think it'll be 4. No, 3.
It's an ink.
Yep.
I think you're just
Sakura.
like you're trying to click on analytical brain, but it's just such an alarming, strange message that like that part of yourself that would work out details like that is just not igniting the way it should.
I instantly turn on the light and take a photo of it and send it to the group text.
So that goes out to everyone. Auric, you also have a letter. Your letter is tucked into your windowsill in like your 11th floor apartment from the outside. It is not unmarked. It is extravagant and glorious. The envelope appears to, just looking at it through the window, it appears to be almost like woven silver. Absolutely beautiful. And on the front, in what looks like a golden ink, it is your address, but written in this like curling, sweeping calligraphy. It is actually held shut with a like a purple is not like a burgundy ribbon. It exudes this sort of ostentatious class and status. You recognize it immediately. Would you like to bring it in?
If I can get it in without dropping it 11 floors.
So it's a little bit hit and miss. You manage to very carefully get your window open and kind of and draw it in. As soon as you touch it, there's a familiar spark of magic. But it is I'll just say familiar, and I'll let you decide what the association here is. But there is a spark of compulsion. You know that this letter is from oops, sorry, I don't have that name right in front of me.
It's not Volo? What?
Is it from Mort?
It is not from Mort. It is.
Oh my goodness.
It's not Vela?
It is not from Vela.
Is it his mama?
This is from Lord Lambton.
Lambton.
Lord Lambton is in the hierarchy of the Fae a couple of notches up your branch of the hierarchy. He's a sort of middle noble. He wields quite a bit of power, but is not quite in the ranks of the truly mighty. But this is a figure who didn't micromanage the details of your family's life, but you remembered him as a force that would just sweep in and upend your all's lives, and always in service of some plot or scheme. You had your family went through some very difficult things because of this person, and you've not heard anything from him since you came over. you weren't aware until just this moment that he even knew where you were.
Yeah, I was hoping that would last a little longer. Well, let's get this thing open.
Inside, you see the same sort of elaborate calligraphy. There's even like scroll work in the corners, like illuminated margins.
Yeah.
And it reads, and you can sort of hear it in his voice. My dearest Auric, I was most bereaved when I discovered that you had gone missing from our fair home. However, I am much delighted to discover that you have found your way into the mortal realm. I believe that this will offer wonderful opportunities for both of us to prosper greatly in new endeavors that have become possible in this new dynamic. I believe that you will be a great asset to me and to the improved fortunes of your family. You will be hearing again from me shortly.
Let's pray. I consider the size of my apartment and do not burn it with magic, but I do take it to the sink and find a lighter.
It does not burn.
Yeah, the last one didn't either.
It is just entirely unaffected. And actually, there's a sort of a pretty special effect that goes off. Like the paper like glimmers when you try and burn it. Like opalescent lights run through the page.
Yeah. I just start scratching at it with my claws to try and rip it up.
It makes
Okay,
this
thank you.
beautiful chord. Like your finger leaves a trail of light, and it's almost like harps, like doing chords, like the.
Pompous prick.
All right. So some of you less restful than
So we'll
others.
see what the building does to it. Never can tell.
Are you all going to reconvene at Lou's before you head out?
Wait, do I see anything with my 20?
Oh, yes. You were. I didn't know if you were within hearing distance. You are sitting at your desk doing your technology checks, and
You saw some cats.
Oh, okay.
you hear something. You're not sure what it is. And then suddenly there is a lot of noise, like right outside your window. Because we decided you had a fire escape, right? Because that was how Gimbal sent his messengers.
Yep.
You suddenly hear this cacophonous explosion of sound. There is a large gray tomcat on your fire escape. It's alive, and it is being attacked by like 5 or 6 very large crows. And the cat is like trying to swat back at them. And it seems like it's catching them in its big claws, just but somehow it seems like there's more and more crows. And it only goes on for about 8 seconds, and the cat like seems to just like leap off the fire escape, and you don't see where it went.
Where did the crows leave too, or
They are gone as well.
Okay.
All right. So you all convene at Lou's in the morning. Does Auric bring the letter with him?
Yes, because I'm not done figuring out how to destroy it yet.
Zara
Uh,
will bring the letter with her.
What'd you say?
Zara will have brought the letter as well.
Are you all gonna like meet inside or like just get in pokey and go?
Do whatever.
I mean, presumably we'll meet inside just because if it's early in the morning, it's gonna be cold out.
Yeah.
There's coffee to be had.
All right.
It's true. There's always coffee on.
Auric, when you reach back in your bag for this letter that you brought, you reach down and you find a crumpled mass of like threads and disintegrating paper. Not like it's coming apart into sand, but like losing consistency and coming apart into chunks. And the ribbon is becoming threadbare.
Okay. I don't know how that happened, but I'm bringing all those letters here now.
Yeah, I was gonna have you like stick it in a crack in the wall, but you know that works too.
Bake it in the oven.
Make it in the oven.
And Zyra, your letter is still the same. It doesn't seem to have any unusual properties or be affected. All right. Anything y'all want to do before you go to visit the Radiant Dawn? Or are you wanting to go visit the True Light first?
I think
Dawn.
we're gonna do Radiant Dawn first.
Get the hippies out of the way. They'll be easier to deal with.
All right. So, oops, got to read the right section. So actually, the Radiant Dawn Worship Center is actually fairly close. It is also it is in it is in Falmouth, but it's like right on that line between Falmouth and Vert, where kind of there's a pendulum swing of gentrification every like 10 years. And so the neighborhood is constantly kind of swinging back and forth. And it's a really nice facility. It looks like a modern, not necessarily a brand new building, but like something that's maybe been updated. A lot of like modern architectural features, a lot of windows. It's Lexi, it would be particularly notable to you. It does not look like a Solinist worship place. All of the worship places that you had been to as a baby Solinist always had there were lots of windows, but specifically there were lots of like stained glass windows, not necessarily depicting like, not like narrative, but almost more like abstract, kaleidoscopic. And they actually feature very centrally in Solinist worship. And so it's a little almost off-putting to see this sort of, it feels like bare bones in a weird way. Like nice, but all of the signage and sort of branding is very nice. You see advertising several like there's a scrolling sort of marquee sign, very tasteful, advertising like a prayer group. There it looks like there is in fact some kind of dawn devotional meeting that happens. This is very, very common Solinist practice. You see several like worship times go across. There's a reminder that there's a food drive going for the community foundation. And actually, you can kind of see a few people coming out as you all roll up. So it looks like you're catching the stragglers leaving from the morning service.
Okay.
So what do you want to do?
Do any of them have silver and obscenely blonde hair that was streaked with silver?
You do not see anyone who matches the description of Beery Carolon. And you do see sort of a wide range of attire represented. You see what looks like some people heading off to office jobs from here. You see some folks who look like maybe their parents are going back to get the kids ready for school. You see what looks like there are even some folks who maybe there's like a yoga-esque component to this and seem to be coming out in sort of loose fitness type gear. But you do not see Beery among those who are coming out.
Okay.
I did.
Why don't we go find the rector?
All right. And you all did look them up, right?
Looking for Nick Webster.
Yep. Nicholas Webster is the imminent of the Radiant Dawn. And his picture is, in kind of like the staff about us page. So you know that you're looking for a human man in maybe his mid to late 40s, got kind of salt and pepper going on, neatly cut beard, hair's maybe a little bit longer than you'd expect, and big like sort of like smile and laugh lines. So you just want to head inside to kind of see if you can find him?
Yeah,
Sounds
seem
like
friendly
plan.
enough. Let's do that.
All right. You enter into sort of a foyer area that is open. You see, you all know what you see. This is, like the equivalent of like bulletins and announcements. You see something about the,
We're walking into a narthex.
yes, you
Okay.
see like a big cardboard box laid out to gather community foundation, like food donations and like toiletries and things. You see some promotions of like book groups and different like age ministries. You do see a small display with what looks like some books. Not necessarily like prominently elevated, but you do see amongst several other titles a book written by Nicholas Webster called New Days, Old Light. And as you're poking your head in, now you see a shorter woman with very blonde, somewhat curly hair with some silver sort of streaked through. She looks like she was taking the semi-yoga attire approach that some of the other folks were. And she pokes her head around and goes, "Oh, the service just let out. We'll be back tomorrow morning."
We're not here for work.
Oh, she's very confused by that statement. So you're here for?
Sorry, are you Beery by any chance?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Oric. This is really awkward, but I'm kind of a friend of your mother, and she just wanted to make sure you were okay, and I promised I would come check. I don't want to make a big deal out of it.
You speak Draconic, right?
Yes.
It's the filthiest, angriest swearing in Draconic.
I let her finish and then respond in Draconic, and in a church too.
You see her kind of catch herself like, sorry. Tell my mother that I am fine, that I am not in a cult, and she can leave me alone.
That's perfectly fine. I figured you were, especially once I found out more about the Radiant Dawn, but I promised her I would check, and so I just wanted to come by. How did you learn Draconic, by the way? Sorry, continuing the awkward conversation.
What did you call it?
Well, my people call it Draconic.
Oh, I've only ever heard it called Tamarin. It's old habits. They make you learn it when you're a kid.
Temeraire?
Where?
No, that's that old religion.
Yeah, it's also, I was saying it funny in one session because I hadn't looked back at my pronunciation notes. Should be Tamarin. Tamaran is the planet that Starfire is from. Tamarin is the name of this religion.
Temeraire is the name of the world that the Patrick Rothfuss novels are set in.
Oh yeah. I shouldn't have picked something that sounded so much like a word I use in another context. Anyway, she says, yeah, I've only ever heard it called Tamarin. It's a family thing. The community center, they use it for services and stuff.
They speak Draconic at the Solstice Temple?
No,
Oh.
her mom's this other.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I feel like I should be saying more, but I'm just flabbergasted that you know my native tongue.
Tamarin is your native tongue?
Okay, hang on. You promise me? Can you promise me you won't freak out?
She is quite alarmed at this point.
I look around to make sure there's not too many other people around, and then I take off my ring of seeming.
She like fully jumps back like a foot and a half, and another string, like less angry, more shocked, but another string of Draconic profanity.
I was gonna say, I'm picturing like Ron Weasley in like the early Harry Potter books, where he's like, bloody hell, like that kind of explanation.
But much more explicit language.
Yes.
You kiss your mother with that mouth?
No, she doesn't kiss her mother at all. She avoids her mother.
You don't understand what I'm saying.
I'll say you definitely got to look when you said that. Make an insight check.
Dirty 20.
All right. There is a moment of strange, more than just recognition. You're not 100% sure what the Tamarins are about, but you are gathering in this moment that you perhaps echo certain iconography that is very core to their religious practice, and has provoked a very sort of conflicted response from Beery.
Okay. I
Look
just
like
have to.
one of their
I am apparently one of the gods.
guys.
I just have to ask while I have you here, because it came up with your mother. Does this Tamaran religion have a history of prophetic visions, things like that? I suppose I could ask her, but since I have you here,
They say stuff like that. They're always saying stuff like that. How do you, like, I know there's Nick can do all these amazing things, and I know that and you, and but I don't know, they've been saying that for a really long time, and I never saw any of it.
okay.
Real quick above Gabe, would we know the community center she's talking about? Is that common city knowledge?
Yeah, I mean, it would be like a public facility, but it's definitely like, in terms of size, Solinus are probably the plurality of folks in the town. Spiritualists are the next largest chunk, then Pathers, and then like a bunch of notches down, there are probably less Tamarans than there are even of like folks who worship the ancients.
Okay.
They're certainly one of the smallest organized religions in town.
Uh-huh.
Well, unless there's anything else that I kind of dragged my colleagues along for the ride here, but unless they have anything that they want to do here before we leave, again, this is probably going to sound like your mom being ridiculously overprotective. You know, she had a vague premonition, and could I just give you my number so that if anything bad happens, you can call me?
As long as she doesn't send anyone else, fine. And she puts your number in her phone.
What was the premonition again?
It was a vague premonition of, I don't know if you actually explained it, Colby, did you? A vague premonition of doom and gloom.
I don't know that she told you much.
Okay.
I think it was just that her daughter was in trouble.
Mhm.
How could I like sketch one of the creatures we fought at the lake?
Yeah. Do you have any tool proficiencies that would help you?
I think let me see.
Probably not. Hackers, playing cards, and thieves' tools.
Yeah, I had a forgery, but I think that's something different.
Just make a, we'll say you did this in advance, but just make a dexterity check.
Okay. Yeah. 6.
It's a stick figure.
It's just slightly one notch better than a stick figure.
Okay.
And as you're showing her this, you all hear footsteps on sort of the tile of someone sort of about to come around the corner.
I put my ring back on.
Like within like a millisecond of the illusion sort of back in place, you see Nicholas Webster come around the corner. He's wearing like a very warm, comfortable looking like burgundy sweater, khaki pants, like slip-on type shoes, but nice-ish looking. And he smiles really broadly and says, "Are we taking up art, Beery?" Then he looks at it and says, "Maybe we're not." Then he smiles really big and says, "Nicholas Webster, you can call me Nick. Are you all here to check out our place, to get to know us? What can we do for you?"
I'm afraid it's a little more official than that, and I'll flip him my NBI badge.
Oh, okay. What can we do for you?
We're following up on the recent attacks at other religious sites around the city.
Attacks? I thought. Do you mean the fires?
Yes.
Oh, geez. Do you think we're going to be attacked?
We're not sure. Seems a bit odd that no Solinist locations have been targeted yet. We're doing some due diligence on that.
He sort of nods gravely. This is no, I should keep my mouth shut.
Was
No,
that
you really shouldn't.
was that in character?
That was
or-
in character.
Oh, okay.
No, I should just keep my mouth shut.
Anything you can share would be most helpful at this time.
And Beery chimes in. What Nick is too nice to say is that this is probably those crazy True Light people finally. Oh, someone's smoke detector is going off, and so my dog is panicking. I'm sorry, Bombers. I'm sorry. He's shaking.
Oh,
I don't know if you can see it on the camera.
You can see him.
a little bit.
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. I don't know what to do for you. It's
You don't have
okay.
nice like headphones, do you?
Well, and he's got a fan to keep like lots of noise in the bedroom. But the problem is that when he freaks out, he goes to wherever we are. And so then it just makes it worse because he can hear it really clearly.
Right.
Oh, buddy. Beery continues. Yeah, he's too nice to tell you that it's one of those crazy True Light people finally going off the rails and being ridiculous.
This ridiculous was pretty destructive.
Well, that's kind of always been their vibe. And Nick like puts a hand on her shoulder and is like, Beery, kindness.
There's a difference between kindness, politeness, and safety.
Mr. Webster, there's no delicate way to put this. What your connection with your religion, what fire abilities does that allow you?
Not a whole lot. You see him like he has to like think really hard. And you see him kind of you see him focus again. And there's just like it's basically like just little sparks.
Okay.
Okay.
Beery, if you don't mind me asking, does fire play a role in Tamarin religion?
I mean, maybe there's not like, I mean, like light candles and things like anybody, but I mean, it's more. I'll go ahead and have you all make. Go ahead and make a religion check.
That's where I'm going.
18.
20.
So we'll say, what did Zyra get?
15.
15. Okay. Auric, you're just really thrown off by this whole encounter, and you've kind of been like running back and forth this whole time, and maybe haven't had a chance to do the research you'd prefer to. Lexi and Zyra, you would kind of have a vague idea of this, and I also imagine that probably Cyrus like stayed up later than he should have doing all of his due diligence research. You all would know that the Tamarins are sort of a strange offshoot. They're sort of like an ancients religion that never quit practicing. And they were always considered an oddity. But basically their core narrative, their core religious narrative is that in the past, their people were saved by this ancient draconic deity. And that deity has watched over them ever since. And so there is some fire sort of tangled up in that.
All right. Did your mother have horns?
Does my mother have horns?
I said Auric.
Oh, sorry. That was Beery.
Maybe not in front of
Oh,
the.
yeah, saving it for later.
Nick just kind of cocks his head like, what?
It's a long story.
Doesn't everybody?
I'm gonna pass Nick a business card. And should y'all happen to have a fire incident here, see anybody in a hoodie who then has glowing eyes and hands, please give me a call.
Both of them go, wait, a what?
Yeah, well,
So far, we have confirmed reports at all 3 sites of individuals wearing a hoodie and then their eyes and hands glow.
Okay. Well, I suppose it would stand out. We'll keep an eye out.
Thank you for your time.
Kind of nod awkwardly.
On the way out to make the business card spicy.
You make the business card spicy.
oh,
Why?
Oh,
Because you can.
yes.
Let me look at something.
Campers are free.
It's true. They are.
What kind of horns would Mama have had?
Yeah.
I'm checking something on the stats pages, but they're loading real slow.
Oh, yeah. Mama had the usual horns and a ridge and
Yeah, anything like the person who got burned up, who had horns and extra teeth and a ridge.
is that not normal for humans?
No, dude.
I don't have one of those.
And you know what else it's not? It's probably not associated with a group who doesn't trust the Fae. And don't see Mr. Manford turning his people into half-breeds.
Before you all get too far out, literally and metaphorically, when Cyrus gave that description, Nick didn't blink. Beery, for just a second, made a slightly weird face.
You're like, can you put a tag on her? I don't know what your taggy things do.
Not really.
Not really.
It doesn't work that way.
You would have to hand someone like a fingernail.
Yeah.
I could like slip it into a bag, but
Meh.
it's also only good for like, I gotta choose when I do my thing through it, so
Hmm.
I have to get pretty lucky. Does that ring a bell, Beery?
The description?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I don't know, that just sounds weird. Like, I don't think I know what's like normal anymore.
Have
Story
you
of my
ever
life.
seen anything like that before?
I think I would remember. That's a weirdly specific.
It's a weird thing to forget too.
Sorry, what'd you say?
So if you can't remember if you've seen something like that, it's weirdly specific. It's a weird thing to forget.
Yeah, that would probably stick out in your mind.
How tall is she?
She's fairly short.
Okay.
Kind of feeling the awkward vibe, like Nick kind of is like given some side eye, like and goes and like grabs a couple of books and is like, here, have a copy of my book, and starts just handing them out.
Thank you.
I feel like it's an important not manifesto has a lot of connotation. It's a dream for a better future for the Solinist Church. I feel like all of the institutions and the factions, they've all become obsessed with this internal controversy and dissension. And we've got to get back to like the actual mission that we're here for. The Radiant Dawn is about getting back to these core tenets of Solinism. True Light and some of these other institutions are so obsessed with this conflict over cultural issues, but we want to be committed first and foremost to sharing the light with our community as our first priority.
Sorry, that was just like literally a big part of the Zoom call that we had with a bunch of other clergy today.
I might be projecting a little bit.
Does Beery have a bag on her?
She doesn't seem to have anything with her right now. It looks like she was like coming out of the worship service.
Can we just? Hmm. Can we give her a business card too?
Yeah.
Nick is still kind of feeling the weird vibe and leans over and says, Beery, how about you go ahead and take the community foundation donations down for us?
Oh, hang on. I put a gold coin in the donation box.
All right. So you toss a gold mark into the little box, and she grabs that and the cans and stuff, and kind of heaves this big box and starts heading out. As she starts to kind of step away, Nick kind of leans in and says, "Is Beery okay? Is she in some kind of trouble?"
Well, that's kind of what we're trying to find out. Her mom seems to think so, but they've been on kind of on the outs, as I'm sure you know.
We feel like about every other conversation we have comes back to Mrs. Caroline. She seems like a very nice woman, but it's a very broken relationship. I think for Beery to be happy and to grow, she's got to eventually process those things and try and figure out that relationship. But I also kind of feel like her mother keeps doing exactly the wrong thing to ease the tension.
Mama's be momming.
Cyrus is gonna excuse himself and is gonna follow Beery out.
All right.
What I'd like to do is sign the back of a business card and give that to her.
So you want to sign a business card and give it to her?
Yes.
Oh, you're doing an object for locate object. She has her hands full, but just says, "Okay, just set it," and kind of gestures with her chin. Just set it in the box, I guess.
Okay. If you see anything, please let me know.
Says, "All right," and heaves this big box, and there's a van parked just up the street from where y'all parked Pokey. It doesn't quite have like the full blown like church name side on the van, but just like a sort of low key little logo on the side.
It's one of those magnets.
Yeah, it's very tasteful. That's one of the overwhelming words that you have of this place so far is tasteful. It is exactly low key. There is an intentional aesthetic here that is meant to be sort of pleasant and unchallenging. So Beery loads this up, shuts the door, gets in. Make a perception check. And I guess all of you can do this.
Well,
10.
17.
7 plus 16 is
23.
23. Yeah, 23.
Jeez. All right. Is there anything else y'all want to ask Nick before I delve into that perception check?
Nah, he's good.
Nah.
He sort of smiles, and there's another round of handshakes, and he tries to ply you all with like pamphlets and invites you back for the young adult book study group and lunch, and they have a beer and game night on Fridays, and just like is just loading you with the church calendar.
I take all the pamphlets and then some.
As you're walking back to Pokey, Cyrus and Zyra, you both have this kind of weird thought that kind of hits you about the same time. Beery is kind of a smaller woman, and you just saw her pick up like this huge donation bin. Like, I mean, Lexi could have done it no problem, but like Zyra, you kind of eyeballed it, and it was like you would probably be feeling it the next day if you had picked that up, and you might still have dropped it along the way. But Beery just seemed to like scoop it and go.
Do you want to follow her maybe?
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. 100%.
All right.
To the Pokemobile.
So we're gonna do something weird here. Lexi. I feel like we ought to give you vehicle proficiency. I feel like it just makes sense.
Okay.
I'm apparently not sure how to add a vehicle proficiency. That's weird.
Why are there 6 pedals if there are only 4 directions?
Huh. There is no actual way to custom add vehicle proficiency. Weird.
I thought I'd done it.
You can add other proficiencies. It's not on the list. I could create it as a new tool, but it's not on the actual, because there is a proficiency that like vehicle land and vehicle water.
Yeah.
They must be in like a weird extra category. I'm gonna have, yeah, that'll work. Lexi, make a so if Lexi's driving, you're gonna make a stealth check, and someone else, are you gonna try and track her with the finder's keeper?
I mean, so like if we know where the community center is, presumably, that she's taking stuff, I was thinking about like saving the finder's keeper.
All right. In that case, here's how this group check is going to work. Lexi is trying to drive stealthily and not sort of cross paths with Beery. Cyrus, you are now pulling up directions on your phone, so make a technology check.
Yeah.
And then either Zyra and Auric, one of you make a perception check and one of you make a survival check.
I'm not good at either of those, so you take your pick, Kathy.
So perception is keeping an eye out for Beery and making sure that she's out sort of off in the distance and you're heading to the right place. And the survival is going to be conveying the directions that Cyrus pulls up to Lexi so you actually get there.
Well, I rolled a 21 in stealth, so.
All right. So you're not attracting attention.
I got a 10 on my tech.
All right. Cyrus is going to get you a little bit lost.
I'll do
Alright.
the survival and Zyra do perception.
Sure. So 26.
All right. And what's the survival? 15. All right. You actually do a fairly decent job. It's not the fastest path. It like seems to lead you into a couple of like major traffic intersections.
That may be advantage for our stealth though.
Yeah, it's getting on towards like it's sort of full morning rush hour at this point. So y'all get caught in a couple of lights. Zyra, you're keeping an eye out. You don't see anything unusual. Beery does seem to be going to the community center. You keep catching her sort of like way off in the distance, making turns before you make turns. And you arrive at the community foundation. And it's sort of a like multi-denominational slash nonprofit that sort of coordinates community services for people. So there's a big food bank, there's a clothes closet, there's connections with like social workers and shelters and various things. Beery, not very well. It's like a 35-point turn, but she does manage to get the van backed up to the like what looks like the pantry loading dock. A couple of volunteers come out and you see it again. She she kind of waves them off and whoop, and brings it inside. And what do you want to do?
Wait for her to come back out.
Yeah, just stake out.
All right. It's really only like a couple of minutes. She comes back out with some sheet of paperwork, closes up the van. You see her kind of throw the sheet in the passenger seat, and she's heading back.
We'll tail her back.
Okay.
All right. In the interest of not specifically line by line following her all day, how much time are you all going to commit to sort of this stakeout?
Right now, she feels like our best lead, unless we're going to check out the. But I don't even know what I'd ask at the Cameron Community Center. So I'm good to spend the day.
All right.
I guess while we're following her, I will be making a tech check to try and do some phone research on the Tamarans.
All right. So in that case, we'll do the tech check first. So go ahead and roll that. Well, so this will be, you're now going to roll religion with disadvantage.
Oh, Lordy.
Honestly,
10.
that honestly could have been worse. Whoops, sorry. Didn't quite catch my mute on that one. You're able to find basically the information that we kind of covered. The Tamarans have some kind of ancestral sort of guardian deity that they worship. The thing you do pick up is there's some pictures on their website, and you actually recognize some of the places where Miss Caroline sent you pictures of Beery. You see that some of them were taken at the community center. And you do notice that motif that you couldn't see fully in the background of one of the pictures. It looks like a small but prominent worship space. And it seems to be a small room with this cascading motif of like interweaving serpentine dragons, just one after another. And even with that terrible roll, you of all people would recognize this. They're inlaid in metal, and you're able to pick out gold, silver, copper, brass, bronze, and prominently placed in the center, there's a sort of artistic, abstract depiction of some large being with wings depicted in platinum.
Does the community center have a staff page?
They do not. Well, go ahead and make a technology check as well. We'll assume you all have little bits of downtime as you stalk this poor young woman.
24.
24. You're able to find quite a bit more. You find some social media pages. You're even able to kind of poke into some of the not full on hacking, but just like a little bit more information than you probably should have. And you find it seems to be mostly run by volunteers.
Okay.
It doesn't look like there's a lot of sort of institutional authority. You do notice Nala Carolon does show up in a lot of the pictures. It looks like they have a bunch of different sort of rites and rituals, and it looks like she leads a lot of them. Not necessarily in like a clerical way, but just in a lay leader fashion. And you do see an interesting, it's their website is not great. There's a little bit of like GeoCities 1997 energy happening.
Yeah.
So standard church.
Well, and there's a page with like little like dragon, like spinning dragon emojis, but like they don't mesh with the backgrounds. There's like a blocky background and a rotating dragon on like a jarringly different colored backdrop. And in big sort of italic letters, you see this: justice and good above all, honor and respect to righteous innocence, honor and duty to the balancer, to her mercy, and to the justice maker, honor and protection to all races, honor and correction to the enemies of justice and good, honor and forbearance for oneself. And then in a slightly different text, a line down, it says, beneficence and mercy.
Are there any other, can I like scroll through the pictures of the other volunteers?
Sure.
Can I spot a man with graying hair from Abbess Vance's?
You do not see that person.
Okay.
It looks like they have, you see there's a couple of lay leaders who look like points of contact. And you also see it looks like the local Tamarans don't have a priest or priestess, but there is one who kind of is serving a larger area, who you could also potentially contact, who is sort of over this particular location.
Okay.
So that's that. So for your observation, one of you make an investigation check with advantage.
Where's the highest investigation?
I have +2.
+1, so not me.
That's one of my better ones. I'm trying to remember. I got +5.
Oh, you roll it then.
Yeah.
$21.
All right. So you all follow her pretty easily through most of the day. she seems to spend a good chunk of it. You get the impression that maybe she's something like an intern or like an official volunteer with the Radiant Dawn. Maybe not like a paid position, but someone who has some kind of recognized role. And you see kind of a lot of what you saw. Picking stuff up, dropping stuff off. She comes back for a like midday service. Excuse me. Which lots of people, not a ton of people, but probably comparable with what you saw this morning, kind of stream back to the campus. What else would she do?
She go for a run. She
I'll say you do see her kind of at one point she goes in and comes back out with like a little lunchbox and has like the saddest looking sandwich in it. Just like very little sort of presentation or flair to it. It's just like a slice of meat, slice of cheese, bread.
okay, okay.
In like a Ziploc bag, and looks like maybe there was a cold pack, and so it's gone a little like mushy. And she eats it with sort of like, all right, I guess. You do see her look a little sad for a minute. Moving timelines.
Does anybody come to talk to her?
You've seen several people come and go. There was probably 20 to 30 there this morning, another 20 to 30 at this noon. It looks like there's maybe a book group or something tonight. And you see her kind of through a window, like pulling out chairs and getting them arranged in a circle and bringing in like a little coffee maker and making coffee and just kind of generally getting the space set up. Nick kind of flits in and out. You see folks kind of come and meet with him. Seems like several times. What else would you see? You see you do see a couple of folks come by and kind of come and go in and out. It looks like they have a community garden on site that some volunteers been working on, and they sort of come in and out with someone just like revved the heck out of their car out there.
That sounds like your neighborhood.
It's fairly standard comings and goings. Do you want to keep sort of waiting into the night?
I don't know where she goes when she goes to sleep.
Yeah.
You all follow her, still very creepily, through the dark streets. It's probably 10-ish by now. You could see her through a window, like you saw the book group come and gather. They discussed for a while. They played a video clip. They discussed some more. They had coffee. And you see some of them sort of peel off together, and it looks like they're going to go do something. And it's getting on towards like 11 o'clock at that point. And you see her walk back to just a little apartment It's not too far from where you're at. It looks like maybe she chose it because of its proximity. But it's just like a little apartment building. It's not a super great apartment building. It's probably in some ways comparable to what Auric has been enjoying. Make an insight check to go with all this.
Oh, no, any
Dirty 20.
8.
12.
6. Lexi spent too much time driving around. Like,
So it was 8, 12, 6, and 20.
Yep.
So Zyra, you catch a couple of little moments of just like long sighs and, sort of, and specifically you see it when she has her terrible lunch, and you see it again. It's a second floor apartment, so it's not too far up, and you all are back far enough you can kind of see, and you see her sitting at a table that's set near the window to get some light during the day, and you see her kind of look around and just give a
Little Miss Intern doesn't seem too happy to be doing her Little Miss Intern stuff.
well, specifically you're catching it with that role. She seems to really enjoy what she's doing, like the actual work she enjoys, but specifically you saw her kind of bum out a little bit when she ate and when she went back to her apartment. The vibe that you get is begrudging homesickness.
Yep.
Like she doesn't want to be back, but maybe on some level she does. But she is never going to tell her mother that.
Okay. Well, I suppose unless we want to stake out her apartment all night long, go our separate ways and recoup in the morning.
So where would you say you have Pokey parked while you're doing this?
Also, when were the fires set? Like we had a rough knowledge of when the fires were set.
Are you looking for days or like times of the day?
Time of the day.
Each of them seem to be in the middle of the night. So where is Pokey parked?
excuse me. Pokey would probably be a couple blocks away on a side street, like on the corner. A place that we could have a good view, but not be super obvious.
So everyone make a perception check.
Mm,
30, 20.
More than
12.
that. 24.
All right. And Cyrus, did you say 10?
11.
11. Okay. So Auric and Cyrus, you're very focused on what you're doing. Kind of just sort of just watching for any sign of unusual behavior from her. Lexi and Zyra, you all are also keeping a close watch, but for just a minute, you look around and you realize that it's getting darker.
Are streetlights going out?
You look to see the streetlights are gone. You realize that as you all have been watching, almost indiscernibly, the nearby streetlights, you catch one of them right as it starts to go out, and it's not going out, it's melding with a like drooping, dragging tree. And as you notice this, you realize it's like late, like end of winter leaning into spring, but it is suddenly muggy hot. And there's like a buzz of insects.
Can we see the sky?
You cannot. As you're looking about, all you can see now is one street light right above you, and the rest of you are all seeing this now too. You see the light in Beery's apartment, and all the others are gone. And you hear clopping, and then somewhere up the street into the darkness behind you, you hear and that's where we're going to stop.
Murder sheep. That's what it sounded like to me. All right.
Okay.
All right, so we will pick back up there next week.
Awesome.
In my head, so many threads appeared and then ran out.
There's a lot happening right now. All
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
I'm going to cut our stream, and we will pick back up here next time.
Sounds good.